show and record? Okay, just go ahead and swing it around. It doesn't have to be real slow, just to show them on there. Show your own, there you go, all right. This speech will be a little different than the last one.
Okay.
This is called the persuasive speech, so I have to try to persuade you, talk you into doing
You
something
already
that's good.
have. You did that last
Okay.
week.
All right, here we go. According to emergencycareforyou.org, approximately 4,000 Americans die each year in fires, and more than 20,000 are injured. Let that sink in for a moment, because that could be you. They go on to say that it's because of a lack of awareness about the dangers of fire and how quickly they can spread. That's why knowing the basics of fires is so important. So today I want to talk to you about the dangers of fires, some causes of fires, and also some fire safety tips. First off, let's talk about some dangers of fire. Of course, the most devastating danger of a fire would be either an injury or death. In fact, Emergency Care for You also says that smoke and toxic gases can be more threatening than flames. Most fires happen when people are asleep. Instead of being awakened, however, the poisonous gases released by the fire may make them fall into a deeper sleep. Asphyxiation caused by inhalation of smoke and odorless, colorless toxic gases is the chief cause of fire deaths, believe it or not, exceeding burns by 3 to 1. Something else to think about is the psychological damage. The American Psychological Association says losing a home can cause significant emotional distress.
Yeah.
You should not underestimate the challenge of evacuation, relocation, and rebuilding after a fire. It is common for people to experience several stages of adjustment, including shock, anger, depression, and hopelessness. Ultimately, however, people do recover. Let's look at the financial cost. According to Manta.com, fire damage is considered to be one of the most difficult conditions of disaster relief operations since it involves a big number of components. Additionally, aside from fire damage, there are other damages caused by fires like smoke, flooding, and probably mildew if the water is not attended to immediately. The average cost to homeowners runs in the thousands of dollars. Now I want to talk about some causes of fire, and I have the top 10 causes listed, and I'm just going to kind of run through them real quickly. First, let's look at cooking equipment. Most fires in the kitchen are caused by grease fires that can spread quickly and become uncontrollable in a rapid manner. If you have electric heaters, you want to make sure that the heaters are at least 3 foot from upholstery, curtains, and other flammable items, and make sure that the plugs are properly plugged in and that the cords are not frayed or loose. Of course, you never want to smoke in bed because you could fall asleep and cause a fire on your sheets. If you have electrical equipment, especially on the countertops and in your kitchen, especially if you have anything in your bathroom, you want to make sure it's away from water where it won't short out. You want to check the plugs, and you want to make sure that you don't overload your system and cause a short. If you happen to use candles, use only if as necessary and with extreme caution, especially with large crowds, children, or pets. And speaking of children, never ever leave children unattended around an open fire. Another cause of house fires could be faulty wiring. You might want to have your electrical circuit box checked to make sure it's not overloaded, or any plugs or surge protectors, because they could heat up and cause a fire themselves. If you happen to have a cookout, make sure your barbecue grill is in a safe location, away from anything that could cause a fire. Make sure that you have a clear area around it, and don't let children or animals play around in that area that could knock it over and cause a fire. If you use flammable liquids, never use them indoors, especially gasoline, because the fumes could ignite real easily. And last of all, electric lights. Especially Christmas lights, you want to make sure that the bulbs are not broken, you have the cords are not frayed or loose, and they're plugged in properly. And for Christmas lights, never leave them on overnight. Now I want to talk about some fire safety tips. Smoke detectors. You want to have smoke detectors installed in the ceiling or high up on the wall outside the bedrooms and any stairwells. You want to check the batteries annually and replace them. Check them once a month to make sure they operate properly. You might want to consider having your home inspected for fire hazards. Most real estate offices have a list of fire or home inspectors that are qualified to check for any kind of dangers. You also should have fire extinguishers handy. You want to have one of the ABC type that can handle combustible solids, flammable liquids, and also electrical fires. You want to check them annually to make sure they're properly charged and that they operate properly. And most important of all, you want to have a fire escape route. You want to have primary exits and alternate exits from every room of your home in case you get trapped. You want to be able to get out of the house safely, make sure that everybody can evacuate. You want to have a meeting place that's safe away from the fire to make sure that all your family members and your pets get out safely. And most important of all, do not ever go back into the house for anything that you might have left behind. Property is replaceable, people aren't. So in conclusion, uncontrolled fires, especially house fires, are an all too common occurrence. They can start at any time, day or night, and can be devastating, but they can also be prevented or at least survived with the right knowledge and tools. The knowledge and tools I talked about are the dangers of fire, some causes of fire, and some fire safety tips. I encourage each of you today to take the steps I just talked about to ensure that you don't become one of the statistics I mentioned. And as Smokey the Bear says, only you can prevent fires. Thank you for listening.
Wow, that was great.
Thank you.
So everybody